Hi YouTube, this is Kristen Moonrise. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the upcoming penumbral lunar eclipse in Libra happening on Monday, March 25th. So I'm going to go off camera and show some visuals and give a bit of an explanation on what this eclipse is, and then I'll come back and give my life coaching perspective on the energies of this moon. So we're entering eclipse season, and so this video is on the full moon eclipse, and I'll record a separate video on the new moon eclipse that'll happen on April 8th. The eclipse happening on Monday, March 25th is a penumbral eclipse where the moon passes through an outer region of the Earth's shadow called the penumbra, making the moon look partially darkened or dimmed. So basically, the sun is shining onto Earth and it's casting a shadow behind it. And so the moon is partially sitting in that shadow. And so when we look at the full moon, it looks a little bit darker or slightly dimmed. So although not as vivid as a total lunar eclipse, also known as a blood moon, this event can still be observed with the naked eye, unlike the upcoming solar eclipse where you need protective eyewear. And if you need a better understanding on what is a lunar eclipse and what is a solar eclipse, just remember in its name, it'll tell you which one gets dimmer. So with a lunar eclipse, such as the one I'm discussing here in the video, means that the moon is dimmer, lunar moon. And with a solar eclipse, such as the one upcoming on April 8th, the sun is dimmer because the moon will be blocking it, and that's the more dramatic one, thus needing the protective eyewear, so solar and sun. Again, more on that one in a separate video. So astrology tells us that eclipses are considered a dramatic calling for drastic change, mainly with the world and religious leaders or figureheads of any kind, which are represented by the sun in astrology. Eclipses are powerful periods of change and revelation, and so they happen when the moon gets within 18 degrees of those lunar nodes, which represent our karmic points. And so I have this diagram here showing the path of the sun and the path of the moon. So at the 2 points where those two planes meet are the lunar north and south nodes, which gives us eclipse seasons and show up as karmic points on our charts. And so eclipse season has really highlighted the US. We see North and South America will see this slight dimming of the full moon, so don't forget to check it out. And just as a side note, we also call the full moon at this time of year the worm moon. That's WORM. As spring is near, things are thawing out and worms are coming out of the soil. It's a time of renewal and rebirth. So I put the Libra traits in the description box below, but basically Libra is the peaceable, shape-shifting, social, yet dependent of the signs. So the lunar south node eclipse in Libra happening on Monday, March 25th, 2 a.m. Central Daylight Time, Houston, Texas. And hopefully y'all are adjusting to the time change because I certainly am not. So we see here that the moon is in 5 degrees 7 minutes of Libra, opposing the sun in Aries, also 5 degrees 7 minutes. Aries season starts March 21st, and the spring equinox is just before that on the 19th. So eclipses happen again within 18 degrees of those lunar nodes, and we see the south node here at 16 degrees and 24 minutes of Libra in the 11th house. Again, the first house is where the ascendant, or what sign is rising at the eastern horizon, is located. And we go in zodiacal order or counterclockwise, counting the houses, which are 12 in total. So we've got Pluto, an air sign. So we've got Pluto in the air sign of Aquarius. We've got Mars, Saturn, Venus, and Neptune in the water sign of Pisces. We've got the Sun, Mercury in the fire sign of Aries, and Jupiter and Uranus in the earth sign of Taurus. Okay, so the energies of this Libra moon has me a bit irked, so I will get to that in a minute. But full moons are about releasing trapped emotions and surrendering to the divine. And with this full moon eclipse in Libra specifically, it tells us that we are bound to win. Conclusions are within reach, but we must not let the past hold us back. So, with this being a cardinal sign, it's about being bold and making the first move. And Libra is a sign of partnerships and marriage. but it is also the most dependent of all of the signs. So all of this happening in the South Node in the 11th house of hopes, wishes, and friendships. Putting all this together, this produces feelings of inferiority, over dependence on being liked, too high of expectations of friendships, and feeling misunderstood, and lots of self isolation. So there's a lot of victim energy here with this moon. So one thing that I've noticed a lot in this is a lot of low vibe conversations about dating and relationships. So everyone thinks that they come around horrible people when they're dating, and because of what they've seen in other people's relationships and what they hear online, they assume that they'll also have negative experiences. And so it's even gotten to the point where resources out there to help, or hearing about people's success stories, consider that as rare occurrences or scams overall. So there's a lot of extreme defeatist attitudes about relationships and dating right now. So I find that the complainers are actually the ones creating and reinforcing that dynamic. And so, again, with Libra being a mutable sign, this is about being bold, stepping out of that negative mindset, and make the first move towards what really benefits you. So stop being so dependent on what you see happening with other people and make what you want happen. So not everything is a scam, you just don't know how to win. And I've asked these perpetual victims, okay, if everything is such a scam, what winning strategy have you figured out? What is your winning strategy? And surprise, surprise, they don't have one. And in fact, they get upset with me by daring to ask them this question and daring to put the ball in their court. So they speak as if they are expecting to lose. And so sometimes you do need a bit of tough love in order for you to start trusting yourself, because that's essentially what it is. With Libra being so dependent, it doesn't trust itself. And so I would say cut out the nonsense, but check first to see if you actually may be the nonsense. So I'll even give a personal story. A few years ago, I was dating a guy that was a Libra sun, which is probably why this moon kind of irks me a little bit. But it was all part of my spiritual journey, so I appreciate the experience. So I remember we had gone out on a few dates, and I just remember kind of like my energy just going down. I'm like, ugh, this guy has no self esteem whatsoever, and he cares about what everybody has to say, a true Libra. So I heard the spirit realm tell me, well, if he's got no self esteem, what does that say about you? And I said, point taken. I definitely understand. So up until that point, I had been pushing off the um, idea of creating a love list for myself and what I wanted out of a partner. So that actually activated me to really put down on paper what I wanted out of a partner, and knowing that I had to be the match for that person. Because up until then, I was thinking, oh, I have it in my head, I know what I want. But there I was entertaining someone that didn't have a lot of self-esteem, that cared about what everybody thought about them, and was constantly down and depressed. And I was entertaining it, and that showed me that clearly I was a match to it because I was entertaining it, and that meant that I had to start working on my self-esteem. And I didn't want to have low self-esteem anymore in dating, so I decided I'm going to write this love list. I kept tweaking it over a couple of years and left it alone for a while also, but that eventually got me engaged. So it set the ball rolling. So I will talk about me getting engaged in that process, but I'll probably talk about that once we actually walk down the aisle, which will be soon. So I have here this bar plot which shows us how many planets are in each of the elements. So there are lots of planets in water sign, Pisces mainly, and this may have us emotional about our worthiness. So this is showing us to be lukewarm around being grounded in earth energy, lukewarm about being fiery in the fire signs, and very lukewarm on thinking clearly, which is represented by the air signs. So your emotions are heightened because you are the one heightening your emotions, and you can stop and pivot at any time. So, of course, we will absolutely talk about a tarot card here. We have got the Eight of Swords. I'll put it up on the screen. So, this basically is showing that we are feeling trapped and unable to move, and you can get out of the situation with your existing skills. So, this is telling us to get over our mistakes and asking us, why exactly do we feel stuck? There is no one keeping us hostage. So the swords are affixed that she, or in this case you, are able to leave out of that structure. So out of that enclosure of those swords. So both feet, as you see, are in the water, and water represents emotions. So this is standing in the emotions of a self-made trap. And so you created this prison. That's what this Eight of Swords represents. So, long story short, stop following the losing crowd, stop letting others negatively influence your perspective, stop being a victim, stop being wishy washy, and decide on what your winning strategy is. If you base it off of anyone else, let it be someone that has won in that area that you aren't doing so well in, and don't continue to follow those who choose to be losers. So that's the end of the video. You can definitely visit my website for booking. I do astrology readings as well as life coaching. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you definitely check out the penumbral lunar eclipse in Libra happening on Monday, March 25th. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.